Imagine it's midnight and a truck driver parks his multi-ton rig at a rest area and shuts off the engine. A couple of miles down the road near the highway exits, a motel sign glows in the darkness. A soft bed, a hot shower, and a quiet night's sleep are waiting for him. But that's not where he's headed. Instead, he climbs out of the driver's seat, moves into the sleeper cab, and settles in for the night right there in his truck. And that's exactly what millions of truckers do every day. Whether they're hauling freight across the highways of the United States or driving through the frozen roads of Siberia. Why? Why would someone who spent the entire day behind the wheel skip the motel and sleep in his truck instead? Is it about saving money? Is it a matter of principle? Or is there something else going on that people outside the industry don't understand? Today, we're going to find out. And by the end of this video, you'll see this situation in a completely different light, because the real answer has nothing to do with sleep or money. Stopping in for the night at a hotel sounds like the obvious choice, but here's the first surprise. There simply aren't that many places where a full-size semi can park. According to industry estimates, for every available truck parking space, there are 11 drivers looking for somewhere to leave their rig. 11! Between major cities, there can be stretches of 300 to 400 kilometers without a single decent truck stop. Drivers know these dead zones by heart and plan their routes carefully to avoid getting stranded in one. On top of that, a tractor-trailer can be more than 15 meters long, which means it won't fit in a typical motel parking lot. But that's not even the biggest issue. The real obstacle is the law. In most countries, truck drivers' working hours are strictly regulated. In the United States, for example, drivers are allowed a maximum of 11 hours behind the wheel before a mandatory 10-hour break. To enforce those rules, trucks are equipped with electronic logging devices connected directly to the engine. Before 2017, many drivers kept two logbooks, one for inspectors and one for themselves. But once electronic systems became mandatory, that workaround disappeared. In other words, when a driver's hours run out, they don't have an extra hour to go looking for parking. They have to stop where they are. But truckers have one advantage. They don't need to go anywhere else to sleep. Their bed is right behind them. When most people think of a truck cab, they picture a steering wheel and a driver's seat, but behind the driver is an entire living space. And in large trucks such as the Peterbilt 389 and the Kenworth W900, that space is much more than a small sleeping compartment. It's essentially an apartment on wheels. In fact, the industry term for it is a condo cab. Inside, you'll typically find a double bed, a refrigerator, a microwave, a TV set, storage cabinets, and even a small table. In other words, everything a motel offers is already built into the truck itself. A new rig equipped this way can cost more than $200,000, and nearly a third of that price goes towards outfitting the living area. But you know the most surprising part? There's nothing new about this idea. The first truck with a built-in sleeper compartment appeared back in 1933. Before that, drivers often slept under their trailers or on top of cargo sacks in the back of the truck. Nearly a century ago, the industry realized something simple. A truck driver needs a home wherever the road takes them. So, when people ask, why don't they just stay in a hotel? Truckers could easily answer with a question of their own. Why stay in a hotel when your home travels with you wherever you go? Of course, having a bed doesn't automatically make a place feel like home. Home is where you can cook your favorite meals. Fortunately, modern truck cabs often come equipped with multi-cookers, induction cooktops, toasters, and coffee makers. Some drivers even use special lunchbox-size ovens that heat up to 300 degrees Celsius, letting them cook a hot meal while they're driving. Online, you'll find trucker channels with millions of views where drivers share recipes and demonstrate how they make everything from simple dinners to lasagna right inside their cabs. Many truckers spend around $250 a week on food and daily living expenses, which is considerably cheaper than renting an apartment. But showers are a different story. In trucking, shower credits are almost a currency of their own. At major truck stops, a shower is free if you're fueled up. Otherwise, it'll cost around $15, and drivers wait their turn in a queue that's managed through shower numbers and access codes. And here's another detail that really brings the picture to life. About 40% of long-haul truckers who spend months on the road travel with a dog or cat. There are even insurance plans designed specifically for pets riding along in the cab. Drivers decorate their dashboards with family photos, religious images, and stuffed animals. Satellite radio channels created specifically for truckers help them stay connected with other drivers. And when the miles start to feel long, audiobooks keep them company. Many truckers listen to as many as 50 books a year. In the end, the cab isn't just the place where they work, it's where they live their lives. Now let's talk about numbers. A night in a hotel typically costs anywhere from $80 to $150, and the driver has to pay out of their pocket. On top of that, truckers generally aren't paid by the hour, they're paid for the miles they drive. While they're sleeping in a hotel, they're not earning anything, but they're still spending money. Over the course of a year, those hotel bills can add up to tens of thousands of dollars. But there's an even bigger reason than money: the cargo. A fully loaded truck carrying electronics or pharmaceuticals can be transporting goods worth more than $3 million. High-value loads like these are often monitored by GPS every step of the way. So, would you leave cargo worth millions sitting overnight in a dark parking lot while you sleep in a hotel room across town? Probably not. That's why drivers often spend the night right alongside their cargo. And then there's logistics, something most people never think about. The modern world runs on a just-in-time system. Factories operated by companies like Toyota, Honda, and Ford Motor Company don't keep huge warehouses full of parts. Components are expected to arrive exactly when they're needed. If a truck is delayed by just 2 hours, an entire production line can slow down or stop, potentially costing millions of dollars per hour. Pharmaceutical shipments face a different challenge. Many medications must be kept refrigerated at temperatures between 2 and 8 degrees Celsius. GPS-connected sensors inside the trailer transmit temperature readings every 30 seconds. If those readings drift outside the permitted range, an entire shipment worth millions of dollars can be ruined. If you've ever spent the night near a truck stop, you may have noticed something unusual. The truck's main engine is off, yet there's still a steady hum coming from the vehicle. That's often the refrigeration unit. Refrigerated trailers have a small diesel engine mounted at the front of the trailer that runs around the clock, even when the truck itself is parked. There's another factor as well. In many places, leaving a truck's main engine idling for more than 5 minutes is against the law, and the fines can reach thousands of dollars. That's why many trucks are equipped with a small independent generator known as an APU, or auxiliary power unit. It allows drivers to run the heater, air conditioner, refrigerator, and electronic devices while they sleep, using far less fuel than the main engine would. In other words, the cab can operate completely on its own, like a small home with its own power plant. And that's yet another reason truckers don't need to spend the night in a hotel. Now, let's talk about a reason that's more important than all the others combined. For a truck driver, sleep isn't just about getting some rest. It's a matter of life and death. There's a phenomenon known as microsleep, where the brain essentially shuts down for a few seconds, even though your eyes remain open. When it happens, you usually don't even realize it. Now imagine that occurring at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. In just a few seconds, a truck can travel more than the length of a football field, while the driver is effectively blind, with dozens of tons of cargo behind them. According to highway safety data, fatigue is a contributing factor in roughly 1 out of every 8 truck accidents. There's another danger as well, known as highway hypnosis. That's when a driver reaches their destination and has little or no memory of the last 100 kilometers of the trip. On a long downhill grade, that can become deadly. Continuous braking causes the brake pads to overheat and glaze over. The brake discs become red hot, and braking performance can drop by as much as 80%. That's exactly why major mountain highways are equipped with emergency escape ramps, long gravel lanes built alongside the road. If a truck's brakes fail, the driver can steer onto one of these ramps where the gravel absorbs the vehicle's energy and brings it to a stop. Every time an escape ramp is used, the road operator may spend between $20,000 and $30,000 restoring it, but that's far less costly than a serious crash. In the end, staying alive and preventing accidents means truckers have to stop and sleep as soon as their bodies tell them they're no longer at their best. There may not be a hotel anywhere nearby, but there's already a bed just a few feet behind their seat. The cab is always exactly where they need it, exactly when they need it. A hotel isn't. Now let's leave the comfort of ordinary highways behind, because there are places where talking about hotels is almost laughable. In Alaska, there's the Dalton Highway, a 666-kilometer gravel road that stretches all the way to the Arctic Ocean. In winter, temperatures can drop to minus 50 degrees Celsius, while winds at Atagun Pass can reach 160 kilometers per hour. In Canada, winter roads are built directly on top of frozen lakes each year. Trucks creep along them at just 20 kilometers per hour to prevent pressure waves beneath the ice from cracking the surface. These roads are usable for only 8 to 10 weeks each year. Russia has winter roads that cross frozen rivers and swamps. Temperatures can plunge to minus 55 degrees Celsius, and drivers rely on specially formulated Arctic diesel fuel because ordinary diesel can begin to gel in such extreme cold. In Australia, massive road trains with 3 or 4 trailers and overall lengths exceeding 50 meters haul freight across the endless outback. In 2006, one train consisting of 112 trailers and measuring nearly 1.5 kilometers long set a world record. In Bolivia, there's the infamous Death Road, a winding mountain road bordered by drops as deep as 600 meters. And then there's the Karakoram Highway, the highest paved international highway in the world, linking China and Pakistan through the Himalayas at elevations approaching 5 kilometers above sea level. What hotel are you supposed to find on routes like these? Out here, the cab may be the only warm, safe place for hundreds of miles in any direction. So, the bed behind the driver's seat becomes more than a place to sleep, it becomes a lifeline. There's another aspect of trucking that people outside the industry rarely see. Truckers look out for one another. If a truck is sitting on the shoulder with its hood up, there's a good chance another driver will pull over to help with repairs, share a meal, or offer advice. It's an unwritten rule that's followed all over the world. One story from Michigan illustrates this perfectly. During a snowstorm, a truck driver spotted an overturned school bus, stopped its rig, broke a window, and helped 7 children get out. When reporters later asked him about it, his response was simple: any trucker would have done the same thing. There are countless stories like that. During a massive snowstorm in 2022, thousands of vehicles were stranded on a highway. Truck drivers spent 2 days sharing food, water, and hot drinks with people stuck in their cars. Back in the 1970s, after a popular movie about a fearless truck driver captured the public's imagination, citizens' band radio exploded in popularity across the United States. Drivers used it to warn one another about traffic jams, accidents, and police checkpoints. Today, a large truck stop after dark can feel like a small town of its own. As Iowa 80 Truck Stop, the world's largest truck stop, nearly 4,000 free Thanksgiving dinners have been served to drivers every year for decades, giving those who can't make it home a place to celebrate the holiday. And in a community like that, spending the night in your cab can feel a lot safer and more welcoming than checking into a questionable hotel room somewhere down the road. But if the story were only about money, regulations, and logistics, truckers would still be complaining about sleeping in their cabs and looking for any excuse to book a hotel room. Yet, that's not what happens. And the reason may be the most surprising part of this entire story. Truck drivers often say that the first month of sleeping in a cab feels miserable. After 6 months, it starts to feel normal. And after a couple of years, something strange happens. A regular apartment begins to feel uncomfortable. The bed seems too large. The silence feels unsettling. You miss the familiar hum and the vibration of the truck. But there's something deeper behind that than simple habit. Long-haul trucking is an intensely solitary job. Drivers who spend weeks on the road may be home for only 2 to 4 days a month. Their children grow up seeing them once every few weeks. Divorce rates in the profession are about 60%. Many drivers struggle with depression, and when you're always on the road, mental health support isn't exactly easy to get. In 2020, a dedicated crisis hotline was even created specifically for truck drivers. Many drivers describe the feeling this way. You come home and it's like you don't belong anymore. After spending 3 weeks living in a truck cab, a driver returns to his apartment and suddenly feels out of place. The family has settled into its own routine. Life has kept moving without them. It can take several days just to adjust to being off the road. There's also the constant urge to keep moving. After a long haul, some drivers say they become restless if they stay in one place for too long. For people like that, trucking isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Ask a veteran long-haul driver who they are, and there's a good chance they'll say, "I'm a truck driver," before they say, "I'm a father." It's not just what they do, it's part of who they are, and the cab is their home. For them, leaving it at night and heading to a hotel room doesn't necessarily feel more comfortable. In some ways, it feels like leaving a part of themselves behind. Now, let's go back to where we started. It's midnight. The truck is parked for the night and a motel sign glows a couple of miles down the road. Yet, the driver doesn't even consider heading there. Now, you know why. There aren't enough parking spaces. The law says it's time to stop driving right now. Every night in a hotel means spending your own money, while millions of dollars worth of cargo sits unattended. Getting enough sleep is a matter of safety, and the bed is already there. On the most remote routes, the cab isn't just the most convenient option, it's often the only safe haven for hundreds of miles. And that brings us back to the question we started with. A truck driver doesn't sleep in the cab instead of sleeping at home. The cab is their home. It just happens to travel with them wherever they go. The driver isn't refusing to go home, they're already there.